Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your one channel for everything VR related. Today we have the weekly news for 12/16/2019 and we got a ton of amazing stuff to go over, so let's get into it. All of the topics and additional information will be listed in the description below, so you can go check that out at any time. If you find any of this information useful or entertaining, go ahead, give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. So today's topics include a ton of new VR game information, SteamVR updates, and a ton of additional Oculus updates. Obviously, we need to start this discussion with Boneworks, so congrats to Stress Level 0 for selling over 200,000 copies in your first 3 days. I actually put out some coverage of Boneworks in my video, Everything Right and Wrong with Boneworks. I recommend you check that out because I go over all the good and bad, but I have to say overall this game is amazing and there's a reason why it made it to the top 60 most played Steam games last week. So this is proof that VR is really starting to go mainstream. A really great game that I covered last week that you might have missed between all the Boneworks hype was Budget Cuts 2. I also have review coverage of this game up, and to be honest, I didn't mind going back to teleportation mechanics. That's right, I was playing Budget Cuts 2 and Boneworks side by side, and I thought they were both amazing experiences, and games like Budget Cuts 2 still have a place in the VR world. If you enjoyed the original Budget Cuts, I think you'll love this game also, and if you haven't checked out the series, well, now is the time to do it. The highly anticipated Beat Saber 360 and 90-degree levels have now become official, and you could also rock out now with music from Green Day. And this is just one more reason why Beat Saber was the VR Game of the Year at the Game Awards. But based on the games that were nominated, I honestly think Asgard's Wrath should have took the title, and if Boneworks was in the running, it should have went to Boneworks. But congrats to Beat Games. Beat Saber continues to be one of the most accessible and widely played VR games, and they continue to put out more songs and more amazing updates. Now, not to be outdone, the Oculus Quest got some games last week. So Job Simulator followed by Vacation Simulator are fun, quirky games that a lot of people love to just jump into and have a good time. Well, now you have that experience on the Oculus Quest. So the Oculus Quest also brought us some nostalgia, taking a classic game like Streets of Rage and now turning it into a VR experience with Path of the Warrior. This game looks amazing, guys. I can't wait to check it out. And really, there was no lead up for this game. It basically came out of nowhere. And finally, on our VR game information, we just found out that a level editor for Angry Birds will be coming out in the near future. Now, this is an amazing way to extend the life of that already super fun title. Now, for upcoming games for the rest of December, it looks like it's going to be pretty quiet. Pavlov was supposed to come out for the Oculus Quest this upcoming week, but it is actually delayed. But we do have one title coming out, and that is Radial G. This is a very cartoon stylized racing game. It looks fast-paced, extremely exciting, and I can't wait to check out that title either. Moving on to SteamVR Updates. Now, if you happen to be on the beta branch of SteamVR, you will notice we got an update almost every single day last week. As of recording, the beta version is 1.9.11, and Steam overall just seems to be on a roll lately, updating everything everywhere across the board. Some of the exciting new features include the ability to change the screen's refresh rate on the fly. No longer do you need to restart SteamVR or restart the headset to change the hertz. Now, this is excellent when you're dealing with games that were not designed for the Valve Index 120 Hz, or if you want to play around and see what performance changes you get. And I know this is a feature that a lot of users have been asking for. Continuing with features that we wanted, you now have the ability to adjust your controller bindings outside of VR. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to personalize some controller options, but I didn't want to sit there and make those changes in VR. I wanted to sit at my desk, make some tweaks, and then later jump into VR and make sure they're perfect. Some of the overall UI has changed for SteamVR also, as you can see here. Basically, Valve is just continuing to streamline everything and make the product much more user-friendly, something that was sorely overdue. Again, not to be outdone, Oculus released a ton of new updates themselves. Some good, some concerning. You may have already received the Oculus 12 update. There are ways to force it if you are interested, which I will include in the description. You now have the option to use hand tracking in certain areas, primarily menus right now. They've also introduced some voice commands, which at the current state are not very useful, but again, these features are in beta, so they will improve over time. There's been some major updates to the Oculus Link, including official support for AMD GPUs. You can also now customize some of the performance settings for the Oculus Link. So with some setting tweaks, you can really push up the resolution that is being outputted to your Oculus Link, and performance will be based on your GPU, and this experience will vary from user to user. But it's great to see these options being introduced, and hopefully we could use the Oculus Quest screen to its fullest potential. Now, some users are comparing the resolution boost to SteamVR's super sampling and saying it's similar to a 150% super sampling of SteamVR. Now, if that is actually the case, that is a significant boost in image quality. So last up on the not so good news, Facebook accounts are being tied into Oculus a bit more, and some features are actually being locked unless you are using a Facebook account. Your Oculus information is also going to be collected for targeted ads, and everyone's biggest concern is what is Facebook going to do with your user information? Something they've had significant problems with in the past. As of right now, we just gotta wait and see how it turns out, and by then it'll be too late. They'll be selling your information. And finally, in our VR news, we actually have some new hardware to talk about. Huawei is releasing VR glasses this week. They were announced back in October, but they are now officially ready for release. Now, these are actually VR glasses that have specs capable of competing with what is on the market right now. After converting into dollars, they are reasonably priced, coming in at approximately $430. But the major selling point is that these are basically just glasses with lenses in them, making them extremely light. That is it for today's weekly news. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, again, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave some comments, and I will see you guys on next time.